175 watt panels. Okay, so that's
For meter 1, 275.
Can't Miss Tinkle. We fixed it. Jerry
Huh?
fixed this.
what's that?
What was it, 275, 200?
Yeah. A total of 30 inches of oh,
That's a
no, wait,
260.
I just had it.
You just had it.
Oh.
Sweet. So we can go back and get the exact. That's awesome. Good job, Casey. We got to figure out how. There we go. And go back. I want y'all to go back to solar meter 1 and see if you can get the exact. It's okay. You can mark it out and read and rewrite it. You're okay. Austin, that's okay.
Oh, that's not right.
We're looking.
Okay.
So, we are going to think about what type of graph do we think would best show this data. We have 5 meters over 3 days. Think about that. What do you think? Anybody know what graph they think? What do you think? A bar graph? Okay. Does anybody have a different idea? Joshua?
Circle graph.
A circle graph, okay. And what do you think, Gabby?
A line graph.
A line graph. Okay, so we've been given 3 different answers. Dylan said a bar graph, Joshua said a circle graph, and Gabby said a line graph. Dylan, why do you think that we would use a bar graph? What do we use bar graphs for? To compare what? Numbers? Yes, to compare data. Think about, does anybody remember, when we talked about bar graphs, I know this is last year, so we're trying to remember something from a long time ago. When we talked about bar graphs, like for example, I could use a bar graph to compare y'all's hair color. What kind of data is that?
Oh, my ratio? Wait, did you say what kind of graph is that?
No, what kind of data would that be? If I made a bar graph and I said 2 people in this classroom had blonde hair, 3 people in this classroom had this color hair. We're comparing what kind of data? That hair color would be divided into what? Groups. What's another name for groups? Okay, the word I'm looking for is categories. Whenever we use a bar graph, remember that's different categories of data. So, Dylan, why are you saying that we should use a bar graph? Are you saying because there are 5 different meters? Is that why you think it would be a bar graph? Okay, so because there's 5 different meters, you're saying 5 different categories. Okay, Joshua, when we use a circle graph, usually we are dealing with what? Huh?
Like colors or something?
Yes, we usually color it. But what kind of data, Amy?
Percentages.
Usually when we make a circle graph, we're talking about percentages. So in this data, are we discussing percentages, Joshua?
Not really.
No, so maybe we can save a circle graph for another? What do you think? Okay, and then Gabby, do you remember what are line graphs supposed to represent?
It shows the increase or decrease of a data number between different days and months or something.
Change over time. That is so right. Gabby is right. Line graphs are change over time. So, Dylan's saying, hey, we've got 5 different categories, so we could use a bar graph. But the same time, Gabby says, but we're showing change over time, right? So, for our first one, we've got to decide, what do we want to do? What do we think fits this data better? Do we think a bar graph or a line graph? I'm going to let you guys vote and you guys choose, because I agree, both are valid points. So, really, actually, your group could decide what you want to do. So talk about that amongst your group. Decide if you want to use this data to create a bar graph or a line graph. Okay, I've written some instructions to help you with your last graph. Okay, it says you need to compare for numbers 3 and 4. You collected data of total renewable energy, and then you talked about, and then on 4 you collected total energy used. So for your third graph, you need to use both those sets of data to show me a comparison of what was generated versus what was used. Then I want you to think about what I've written there in blue. Can you find the percentage of the renewable out of what they use for the total of the day? Think about those two things when you work on your last graph. Okay, also, when you come up to show the graphs that you've done, I would like for you to explain why you chose your bar or line graph. Okay? Think about those things, please. You guys are doing a good job.
Why we chose to do that.
Yes. Y'all are doing really good on time.
Miss Doty,
Yes.
what if
You don't have to use it. Those are two separate things.
Everyone else, we have the days and the kilowatt hours, and this is this was the power.
The meters, the solar meters.
The solar meters, and
She's working on it.
Okay, this is our second graph. As you can see, this one, November 1st didn't get as much as October 31st and October 30th.
As much what?
Kilowatt hours.
From
Energy.
where did it come from? Where did this? Why do you think November 1st didn't have as much as the 31st and the 30th? Sydney?
It wasn't an entire, it didn't calculate all, the entire day.
Well, yeah, we were there in the morning, so it hadn't had the whole day. Good.
And our percentages are, for November, it was 0.5%. For November, that's how much renewable resources they use. And then on the 31st, they use 1.9%. And then on October 30th, they use 0.4%.
Perfect. So what Austin is saying there, let me explain that a little bit better, is that out of what they used, it was 0.5 of it they generated. So like when we talked with the man at the play, what was his name? Mr. Stelzer said that about all they use is, or what they generate is only 3% of what they use. And so Austin gave us those on a breakdown of those 3 days. Thank you.